the segment 3, what
Yeah.
we see for the future of the industry. I'd love to hear your insights and, what you want to really kind of point out as areas of focus based on your data or what you're seeing in the industry as a whole.
I think that a couple of issues that I think would be really good to work on as an industry. One is unconscious bias and sexism is a thing. And it takes effort to um, understand. We all have unconscious bias, all of us, and it takes effort to understand what that means and how to make changes. And we all have that responsibility to take that on ourselves to figure that out and be nice to people. Like, be nice to people.
Oh, I like that.
I think that skill building for women is going to be important, but not because I think women's lack of skills are the problem. That's not the problem. But skill building can be helpful because it helps women with their self-confidence. We asked a number of questions about self-confidence, not really asking it that way, but for example, we asked, have any of these things held you back professionally, like imposter syndrome, or not charging enough for your time, or, a number of different measures. And women need to understand that they are powerful already. We asked them about skills that are important to their job, and then whether they felt their level of comfort with that skill. And so we have all of these skills that women think are this important, but they're only this good at it. And a lot of them are way better at that. And so one of the things that we can do is learn to be more sure of ourselves.
Acknowledge our own.
Yeah, acknowledge our own awesomeness and help other women acknowledge their own awesomeness. Being cheerleaders for each other is really helpful because it helps us stand up to the bias and the discrimination and the sexism when women have each other's backs.
That's such an incredible perspective.
Yeah.
I think it's also extremely timely. Right now with COVID-19, I've seen a number of global agendas that are a little bit nefarious coming into play at once. And I've also seen what is going to be a huge leap in technology with AI coming in. And already in the last 5 years, I come from a tech background and speaking with my friends in tech, one of the topics that we discuss is the pending AI and how many roles will be eclipsed. And sadly, the projections for the future indicate that most of the roles that humans participate in will be relegated to cuddling or companionship. And for women who historically oftentimes were forced into prostitution or trafficking or sex work when they necessarily didn't want to do that, that's a fear of mine. Where are we going to be, building skills for women to where they're invaluable? Like, we have computers that can read our minds already. I mean, this is something that's already here. It's not coming, it's here. So it's something that I think about. And I don't, as an individual throughout my career, I've always had to push to get information and train myself. I never depended on any employer to train me. I always push, and it wasn't easy. There's always a lot of flack because oftentimes employers want to keep you down. They want you to stay in your role, and that's what you're going to do. But I always knew that I was going to make my own way, and I was going to really stand up and be able to provide for myself, and I had to work for it. And so sadly. But so that's something that for me especially resonates. How can we continue to have a role? And women specifically in older, at 60, the age 60, women have fears about how they can provide for themselves because the hiring is skewed so young now. 5 years ago, 6 years ago in Santa Monica, I looked around, I was working in the corporate organization, and I looked around and there's no gray hairs. Nobody has gray hair here. It's what happened to all the gray-haired people in Santa Monica? They're not in the workforce anymore. So what is that saying about, what's happening for our ability to provide for ourselves if we're, independent as women and we're reaching the age of 60? So that's another major pain point that I see. And I hope that this data can help us to create some solutions around that as well.
Yeah, one of the questions was about why women get into the cannabis industry, and the top 4 answers: 1 is passion for the plant.
Yay!
2 is using existing skills in a new industry. And we have a lot of business owners in this survey, and that's what they're doing. They're transferring their skills. They may have aged out somewhere else I left advertising because I felt like I aged out and I was in my 30s.
Oh yeah, that's common with advertising too, isn't it?
Right. But I was like, what am I going to do after this? This isn't for old people. I wasn't old yet. Now the gray's coming in.
You're not old now.
Sitting there, almost 50. So, but yeah.
Well, I like what you're saying about transferring existing skills. I went to the World Conference a few years back, and I put myself out there as a consultant to kind of support people in transitioning into the cannabis industry. It's something I still do. It's something I speak about in my public speaking engagement. So if anybody's listening or watching and they're interested in getting involved with the cannabis industry, talk to me. I'm happy to support you, and I kind of guide you through what that looks like.
Awesome. And the one other thing that I'll mention, that women can do to support each other, because we asked that question, what are the things that women can do to support each other? What has been most helpful for you? And the number one thing is making connections and introductions. There's a subset of the population, let's call them the financiers, the venture capitalists, people with money, who can throw their money around to invest in companies. Here's some money for my kid and my kid's friend and my friend's kids. We don't have that, most of us. We do have our networks. We have our connections. We have our relationships. That's our currency. And that's how we can help each other. The majority of women said that making connections and introductions was the most help that they've had. And so networking is critical. Like, those who don't like to network, you got to do it. That's how you get ahead. That's how you meet people. That's how you succeed. And those who are good at it, spread the wealth, introduce people, help them make connections. It's how we can support each other the most.
I do a lot of that with my own businesses, in terms of networking, but also collaborating. Is there a way that our organizations can find synergies? Are there ways that we can integrate? And even with, if you're looking at advertising, marketing, or getting involved with events, maybe there's some way that the brands can come together to do something together that makes it even more interesting for the audience or the people that you're trying to engage. So that's another element. It's not always just about money. Sometimes there's ways that we can support each other that do have a ripple effect for our businesses in sales or other ways, but we didn't necessarily have the investment at the onset. So as with all things in cannabis, we have to be creative. That's one of our greatest assets, isn't it?
Yep, it sure is. Especially when, I also asked, what sacrifices have you made to work in the cannabis industry? And number one, money and savings. So we are taking pay cuts. I haven't paid myself in a year and a half. So, but we're passionate. We're passionate to be in this
fire industry. Well, this is the fire, and this is something I always say is that, it's something so unique to this industry is the fire and the passion. And that's what's going to get us through. That's what's going to make us successful. And that's how we're going to achieve everything that we want to achieve, because it really sets us apart. You don't see the fire and passion in this industry in other industries. You just don't. It's here. It's incredible.
It is here. And it's where it is not is often with the money that comes in, so that's where we get, that's where we lose the passion.
Yeah.
So, how do we succeed how do we succeed?
Fund it.
Right.
Well, so this is a good time to say to angel investors out there, do take a look at the cannabis industry. We're a fiery, passionate entrepreneur, and we're doing it. We have sales, revenue positive, despite all the obstacles that you might put in our path. So know that this is a great place to look and to invest, and do consider doing so. Now is the time.
And fund women and minority-owned businesses.
And fund women and minority-owned businesses. Yes. We rise together.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think this is a great place for us to say, Jennifer, tell us where everybody can find you, your domains, the best way to contact you, if you would.
Yep. So it's ladyjanebranding.com is the Lady Jane website. Womenincannabis.study is the website for that. The survey is still live. I need to shut it down. I need to close it soon so that we can finalize the numbers and get started on the reporting. That'll likely happen before the end of the month. So if you're still interested in taking the study, do it now. And then the course that I have on althea.solutions is called Sell Joy, and that is teaching businesses how to write compliant messaging, FDA compliant messaging for their brands.
Will there be a way for people to purchase the data from the study in the future for their businesses if they want a comprehensive package?
Yes. So part of that analysis and reporting will be putting together market research reports that will be available for sale. Profits, after I pay myself, because I haven't done it yet,
Hallelujah.
profits are going to be funneled back into the cannabis industry. I want to be able to provide sponsorships and scholarships and grants, micro grants to women and minority-owned businesses. Not necessarily, you know, angel investor type stuff. I like to think of it more as fairy godmother type things. But so, you know, if you are interested in learning about the data and buying a report, your money will be put to good use.
Wonderful. I'm so glad I asked. All right. I'm going to just, for those of you that stayed to the end, thank you. We're going to tell you how you can get involved with the La Lune pendant giveaway. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. La Lune. You can go to our White Buffalo Spirit Instagram account, and then I'll give you the rules to enter. Thank you, everyone who watched. Thank you to all who are listening. For those of you who are listening, you can support Conscious Cannabis by visiting consciouscannabiz.com. I will spell that out for you. CONSCIOUS. Cannabiz, CANNABIZ.com. My name is Courtney Ora Freeman. I'm your host. You can find me on Instagram at Courtney Ora Freeman. You can also find me at white_BUFLO. This show is powered by White Buffalo. We look forward to seeing you very soon. And you can look forward to this interview with Jennifer coming out on YouTube as well as on our website. Thank you again to everybody. Thank you to Jennifer for all of your insights, for this powerful data that you're putting out in the world and the change and solutions that you're bringing with it. It's really phenomenal.
Thank you, Courtney.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.